Today we'll be talking about the current issues with Suffolk University's class registration system. I'm Abby Dodge and I'll be the one explaining. Currently at Suffolk, as you can see here, there's a lot of issues with the registration system. It's a very long process and a very confusing process, and Suffolk hasn't done anything really to make it easier. So as you can see, the first step is to navigate to Suffolk's registration site and find your registration restrictions. If you have restrictions, then you'll need to meet with an advisor or financial aid or the bursar or whoever the restriction tab tells you to meet with. And then after you hopefully get those resolved by your registration time, because Suffolk doesn't send out any emails, you need to navigate back. If you don't have any registrations, then you can find the assigned time. One of the biggest issues currently at Suffolk is the registration times and them being during the middle of the day. So many people have classes and it causes a lot of students to have to skip class. So if you can't skip class, you're really unlikely to get a lot of the classes that you need because they fill up so quickly. If you do have class during that time and you can skip, then you know that you can meet with your advisor and figure out what classes you need to take. Regardless of all of this, you still need to meet with your advisor at some point to figure out classes. But if you can register on time, that is a bigger sign to meet with your advisor sooner. So the next step is to choose your classes for next semester. And then after that is done and you don't have any registration restrictions, you register at your assigned time. And normally at this point, the site is probably about to crash because there's so many people registering at this assigned time. So it's going to take a little bit longer for you to get all of your classes. But if you got them all, that's great. But if you weren't able to get them because it was filled up or there's an issue, you need to meet with your advisor again and hopefully find some other classes that you're able to take. If you find new classes, that's great, and you're all registered and you're all set. If you couldn't, then you need to send emails to the professor to hopefully get into that class, and hopefully you're not in your last semester of your senior year, so you can still graduate on time. And if they let you in, that's great, you're all set. And if they don't let you in, then you either need to take summer classes or meet with an advisor again and start the process over again. And it's a really long process that Suffolk has going. So what needs improving? So the server, as everyone knows, needs to be able to hold more traffic. The times need to be better aligned with your class schedules, and there's a lack of available classes. And I've noticed this especially as a junior. A lot of my friends who are seniors have a hard time registering for classes and getting all their classes in their last semester of their senior year, which even in earlier cases, it can cause students to fall behind in their graduation requirements, even as freshmen, sophomores, juniors. So inconvenient times and server issues. Their registration is being in the middle of the day, which causes a lot of distractions in class, and it also causes a lot of students to skip class. So on registration day, professors may see that they don't have many students in their class, and that's because they need to be able to register, and if they don't register at this time, they probably won't get those classes. And then too many students are registering all at once because the times are all bunched up, but it's causing server issues and it causes the site to crash and causes even more students not being able to get their classes. So the solution is to move registration to the evening. A lot of universities do this, or they have registration on the weekends to avoid students being in class during registration time. Registration's at like 7 p.m. Or on Saturdays, to just avoid students having to skip class or cause distractions, and it just helps professors plan out their lessons more accordingly. Speaking from personal experience, a lot of professors get angry, and I've had this. I wasn't able to register for my classes this year on time because my professor wouldn't let us open our laptops and register during her class. And then another solution is to space registration out even further. This will help with the server issues. So if they do registration on the weekends, they have a lot more time to be able to do this instead of just having registration on like at 9, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45 being the only time slots for registration. Hopefully they'll be able to expand this, and they can do it by your exact number of credits opposed to your class standing or by your last name. And then lack of available classes. This is also another huge issue. I know a lot of seniors are currently having to plan to stay for the summer and won't get their diploma on time because Suffolk does not have their graduation requirements available for them this coming spring. So me, Glenn, and Nick all believe that SBS CareerLink classes and CAS freshman seminars should be available online to accommodate for mass amounts of students. And these classes are not classes that need to meet in the classroom. It takes up classroom space, and it just causes a lot of students have to like push these to spring semesters or when they're not really available. And I know a lot of juniors that are in 200 level CareerLink classes. So by offering them online, it just clears up a lot of issues. And then classes with web-based books and access codes should have online access for classes. If all you're doing in class is opening your laptop and doing all of your work online, Suffolk should accommodate this, and this would also make these classes available to a lot more than just 20 students. And lastly, lecture-based classes should be recorded and broadcasted through Blackboard. If all you're doing is going to class and listening to a lecture, there's no reason this class can't be recorded and posted on Blackboard. So that way, instead of seating only 20 students, the lecture can hold upwards of 50 students or 100 students or whoever. So you're not crunched, and it just fits a lot more students. And everyone is able to be accommodated and get their classes done when they need to get them done. And obviously this won't be able to happen for all classes, but even doing it for 10% of classes will create a much more accommodating schedule for a lot of students. Thank you for listening.